Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos, as you probably expect at this point in time. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom for those of you who lived in Japan, or every once in a while though, the Nintendo Switch remake should be on its way. So last time, we have basically managed to talk to the counselor to able to discuss of what really happens in a previous set of stories, specifically what really happens in the forms of in Bowser's Castle and what have you. In addition to that, we also meet up with our first partner companion, which appears to be Mello. So as a result, in addition to that, we did somehow manage to catch the thief who somehow stole Mello's coin or something like that. So as a result, we did somehow manage to retrieve the actual item back. So even then though, everything else goes all hunky-dory and everything, until we've realized that we did somehow manage to see something strange happens during the Mushroom Kingdom itself. Oh, and while at it though, is about the fact that we also did beat the likes of the forms of Croco, after all. So either way though, everything else is pretty settled by then. So anyway, so today for this video is about the fact that we're about to be able to investigate more stuff during the forms of in the Mushroom Kingdom, because as you can probably already tell, there's a lot, I mean a lot of shysters around here. So because of this though, I wonder who's actually causing this to happen. So I guess no matter what though, it's about the fact that we need to head back into the forms of the actual counselor itself, just to see what really happens. And especially noticeable about the fact that, yeah, before we get onto that though, as usual, we need to able to attack more of those shysters before you're able to not only gain some more experience points, but also, I believe, there is actually a nice little reward if you managed to clear out most of those shysters with all the actual Toad families. So as a result, and as you can tell, we've now reached to level 5 for Mario. So either way, that should be pretty awesome and exponential at the same time. So relatively speaking though, I think I'm also able to go ahead and choose the let's go for special attack effects. So either way though, that will be pretty handy as far as this is concerned. So anyway, a few things I want to explain while this is going on, and that is about the fact that today's date is of course the 7th of July today, in this case in 2023 today. I'm actually very excited about this point today folks, because not only do we get ourselves a next tour coming up next Wednesday during the course of a Mario Kart Tour, even though despite I don't usually care for the game all that much, like I said there's countless amount of times already, but also about the fact that we finally managed to get ourselves our release date for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Wave 5 Booster Course DLC. And I think I should probably talk more details about this later, or perhaps even maybe someplace else we're able to mention more about it. Maybe at some point when it gets to the point until whenever we decide to do the next game's Let's Play of any sorts. But I suppose we'll be able to find out and stay tuned for that and during that specific time. So at the moment right now, we need to able to actually just go ahead and go from building to building or anything else more specifically. So just in case we can able to actually see about the fact that, yeah, as you can see on this particular house right there, we need to able to get rid of those every single shysters before you're able to actually get something that's very rewarding, and especially noticeable, it might be very worth it at the end. So either way though, that must have been explained something. So oh yeah, speaking of which though, it's about the fact that before we get into the most exciting aspect in journey forms of this particular conversation as far as this is concerned, basically no matter what though, is about the fact that around that time, about the fact that there's actually a recent event that's been going on, and that is about the fact that one of those films in particular called Teenage Kraken. Apparently though, about the fact that sadly that film does receive the worst DreamWorks opening of all time. So yeah, it feels like at this point in time that summer for this year, when it comes to film releases as far as I'm aware, starts to get a little bit worse, especially noticeable during the films the opening weekends or something like that. Like, I honestly have no idea what this is happening. So either way though, that must have been said something, especially noticeable, despite I still have not seen Teenage Kraken by my own time. But that's just because about the fact that, well, I'm curious to see of what that happens there, but it's just about the fact that I'm actually going to be excited for the next couple of films later down the road. Specifically about the fact that I'm gonna assure to you that recently about the fact that I'm pretty certain that I believe next week about the fact that for those of you who lived in the UK or something like that, well, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is going to be releasing next week. So because of this though, I'm actually pretty excited about that, especially noticeable that after watching 6 of those Mission Impossible films on my own time, and my god, that was such a thrill ride. At least I'll have to admit it though right away. I actually really enjoy that kind of stuff. So, but I'm wondering about the fact that how well does the box office is going to turn out for Mission Impossible, you know, Dead Reckoning Part 1. But I suppose we'll find out ensuing at some point in the next couple of weeks or so. So either way though, so once you clear out all of those shysters, as you can see, then we can able to get ourselves a nice little reward, because obviously we actually did manage to do a lot of hard work. So in some cases we got a flower tap, so that should be pretty good, especially noticeable about the fact that once we try to use it for ourselves, that way we can able to increase our flower points count. So in addition to that, it also restores our flower point storage as well. So we're now up to 21 flower points. So that should be super top notch and all that stuff. Especially noticeable because, again, as far as what Sonic has already experienced this for the first time on the Nintendo Wii Virtual Console back in the day, that he completely forgot to able to equip that. Mainly because he was actually just a newbie when it comes to knowing RPG genres during that time, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, it wasn't until during the Phones of 2010's era and beyond that we finally managed able to experience RPG in a most comfortable way imaginable. Well, in terms of Mario games anyway, because, well, as far as I'm aware, there's also technically yet another RPG game came to its existence, but this time with Sonic the Hedgehog, but that wasn't until in 2008 that we actually received Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood for the Nintendo DS, and since then, that we've never actually getting yet another Sonic RPG game for a long time, especially noticeable, I have no idea why. They never seemed able to get the next Sonic RPG game after all. I'm guessing because a lot of people seem to really hate the music in the Falls of The Dark Brotherhood, because my god, the music soundtrack on The Dark Brotherhood, it sounds really bad. Like, it's especially noticeable, it's almost like the worst version of, I mean, you get, like, some classic tunes here and there. Like, for instance, in Central City is obviously based off from, Diamond Dust Zone music from Sonic 3D Flicky's Island. Like, back in the day, it sounds amazing in Sonic 3D Blast. But in Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood, oh, my ears are hurt. I mean, seriously, whoever thought that particular sound direction was actually the best idea. I mean, seriously, whoever thought that come up with that fruition. So, anyway though, and I do remember about the fact that there's another RPG, but this time what appears to be body forms of inspired by Mega Man X, called Mega Man X Command Mission, which as a result, it only came out on the PlayStation 2, as well as the Nintendo GameCube. I'm able to try to get the PlayStation 2 version of Mega Man X Command Mission at some point, but not now anyway though, just because, well, I'm trying to still save up for some upcoming titles like, you know, with Pikmin 1 and 2 bundled together on the Switch, and on top of that with the forms of Super Mario Bros. Wonder and WarioWare Move It, and of course the remake of this game as you can see on screen, especially noticeable that, well, I'm pretty sure some people have already pre-ordered the game already. That's just because about the fact that they can finally able to actually play this game on the go. Especially noticeable that unlike the Wii or the Wii U, you can't take a game anywhere else, sadly. Especially noticeable because for the Wii's case, it needs to be plugged onto the actual plug cables at all times. And as far as the Wii U, as far as I'm concerned, basically though, is about the fact that, well, I apologize for that ringtone as you hear for a second ago, but that's because Mighty was actually trying to tell me to come downstairs later on. Well, that's just because at the moment, they're actually going to be attempting to do a celebration summer party, because as far as I'm aware, I don't suppose if you noticed about the fact, I apologize for that particular background noise I'm almost going to be hearing, but that's just because I'm pretty sure that Pinkie Pie was obviously trying to set up the actual summer party for, not only for me, but also for Mighty as well, to able to get a full appreciation for able to join in the Maxi Toys YouTube channel for quite some time. So, but either way though, at least ever since in 2021. So, either way though, that's for a topic for later time. So either way though, so as you can see, we've now stumbled across into Princess Peach's or Princess Toadstool's room, because something tells me all those citizens has to be staying there for quite some time, because I'm assuming to you, someone's gonna take over the throne, so we definitely need to stop the actual imposter to see what's causing all this particular main havocance, for the sake of the forms of too many shysters injuring the forms of the entire castle itself. So at least luckily I seemed able to get missed, so that should be a good thing. Especially noticeable because, well, if you see the word miss, meaning that you don't get hit by any other enemy attacks, so that should be pretty swell. So anyway, so there's another thing I want to classify for mentioning about something, and that is about the fact that, speaking of something related to Mario Kart Tour, they decided able to bring a new track to able to bring something to the table, but again, I'll let someplace else we're able to mention more details on something related to Mario Kart Tour, or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for that matter, at some point tomorrow, because as it turns out, it's going to be releasing, well, in terms of the forms of, well, suffice to say, not only does Mario Kart Tour's 100th tour is going to be on its way, but also with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Wave 5 DLC, I believe both of those things are going to come out in exactly the same time. Like, as a result, it's going to be releasing until the 12th of July. I mean, how amazing is that? Well, I usually more hyped about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe a lot more, just because I do care for that game, especially noticeable because the controls are so better than the forms of how it does in Mario Kart Tour in my eyes, but still. But I'm not exactly sure what the course's name is going to be, because I'm very curious to see how that's going to be represented for. So either way though, so yeah, let's just go ahead and double check if I'm okay to able to deal with the actual items list, and I think it should be alright. So it's just a matter of the fact that I need to try to avoid as many of those shysters as much as I can, and we've pretty much recognized about the fact that I think we might come across into a next boss fight, because I can assure to you, I think this is going to be one of those boss fights they might able to actually hold up something that's more plot significance. Specifically, I think someone is going to able to hold up with the actual plot MacGuffins. Now, the reason why I say plot MacGuffins is because, well, as soon as we're able to actually keep on moving forward, then we realize about the fact that not only we got surrounded by 6 shysters, but also something tells me about the fact that there is that weird monsters, almost like a sword formation. So yeah, I've got no words to think about it, but I'm sure we're able to explain more details onto this though once we get into the actual fight. So yeah, he does look like a mini sword or a ginormous sword to me, except the fact that he can actually speak or something. I've got no words. It's been about 2 days ago since I actually have last played this, so I apologize for this point, folks. So anyway though, oh jeez, it looks like we've got surrounded even more. Which pretty much leads us to the next boss fight, which as far as I expected. So, what's up with this little blue star behind in the throne? I suppose we'll find out more details about this later. So, here we go, on to the next boss fight in this game, and this what appears to be known as Mac. So, yeah, Mac is basically, it's like a ginormous sword of any sorts. So, yeah, basically he does have about roughly 480 HP, and on top of that, when it comes to experience points, he does have 24 experience points, and finally, if you finish him off, it gives you about roughly 20 coins. So, yeah, that's essentially how this goes. Now, the best strategy for this particular boss fight, to me though, is that as you can see, that once the fight starts, in addition to able to fight against with Mac, you also realize about the fact that he also summons not only 1, but 4 shysters. And the best strategy for this is use the actual Thunderbolt on the actual shysters, because if you clear them out like them, then obviously you don't have to worry about just keep on getting hit by the forms of shysters. And once you've done so already, every once in a while, Mac will decide able to use one of his special attacks, like Flame, as well as the Flame Wall, that I'm presuming you that Flame Wall is going to be unavoidable. So because of that though, you have to take damage from the likes of the forms of Flame Wall, as you can see on screen. So because of this though, oh, okay, lucky for Mario, he does have a miss. So that seems pretty awesome. And every once in a while, I decide to use the jump special move, so just in case it deals so much damage. However, when it comes to Mallow's fist attacks, it doesn't do that much. So Oh well, no big deal. Wow, Mario is actually very lucky today. Especially noticeable about the fact that he keeps on getting misses every time. I honestly appreciate it. So, anyway though, so, yeah, let's go ahead and focus on this from now on. And, yeah, every once in a while, all of those 4 shysters were able to come back again. So, meaning about the fact that I highly suggest you're able to save your flower points wisely. Because if you use the flower points too many times, obviously that, well, aside from the fact that if you do have honey syrup with you, then you should be able to actually recover your flower points due time. But here's the catch though, you don't able to use your special attacks too many times. And every once in a while, Mac just somehow goes off screen for a bit, assuming of course you need to take care of the forms of those shysters. So, and that pretty much deals it from here. And sure enough, he comes back. So either way though, I think it's about time about the fact that I think this is considerably the final phase of the fight, I'm presuming so. Because I'm pretty sure that we've almost done with him. So, anyways, let's deal with the amount of damage on him. So, yeah, everything seems all accounted for. So, eventually certain boss fights might get a bit tough later on though. But it's just a matter of what though, that Mac is pretty easy when you get the hang of it though. Assuming of course if you get lucky with all that miss attacks effects. So, and I'm pretty sure Hammer deals some good damage as well. So that should be pretty swell, I might add. Oh, he's not down yet. And he's able to summon the flame to Mellow, so I'm presuming Mellow will take some bit of damage here, and in fact he's almost dying, so we definitely need to finish him off. And there he goes. So there goes Mac, and relatively speaking though, I don't think it's possible we can able to get our level up or anything, or not exactly 100% sure, so either way, yeah, it doesn't look like we didn't get a level up though, but that's fine. And here's one of the first of the plot MacGuffins, as you can see, and I think these things are known as star pieces. And also, I really love this particular victory fanfare. And we have ourselves the first star piece, which as it turns out, it was actually blue. Or turquoise sky light blue or something. So as you can see, once you obtain the first star piece, we realize there are 7 slots. So for instance, we've got 1, and all we got is just about the fact that we've only got 6 left. So, and something tells me about the fact that the middle one might be important, while at the same time, I think I should probably save that topic for later, because obviously about the fact that we just only got started, obviously. Especially, I think that pretty much takes care of everything for the Mushroom Kingdom, at least for now. Because even then though, there are a couple of times though that you might able to actually revisit the exactly same places as before every once in a while. But either way, it might be a bit tricky to explain, but I'm sure I'll try my best able to explain some parts of it though, so... But I digress. So there's another thing I should probably explain about this as well, I guess, is about the fact that, there was actually the newer SpongeBob episode that just recently came out just recently. And what I've noticed right from the get-go though, is that, apparently though, there's an episode called, Aboard de Sorry, I think is what it says anyway. Unfortunately though, that particular episode, you know, the newest SpongeBob episode, is actually underperforming right now. Especially noticeable, that episode, as I mentioned earlier, despite my mispronunciation of that episode's name, is actually officially the worst performing episode in SpongeBob history, with only about 100,000 viewers tuning into the actual TV. So, yeah, it seems kind of, there, I guess. Although I can possibly understand that SpongeBob was actually super popular during that time. Oh yeah, also during around the forms of today, actually, I've also decided to come back into Sonic Dash just recently, because I somehow received yet another cosmetic character, except this time, I've got myself Dragon Hunter Lancelot, which is basically just a red version of, Sir Lancelot. So as a result, I'm very appreciated able to finally have that particular awesome cosmetic version of Sir Lancelot, in some cases Dragon Hunter Lancelot. So, and just like before, I have to grind for 1,000 of those godforsaken tokens. I mean, what is going on with all that? A high amount of collectibles I do need to get every once in a while. I mean, sure, it's a bit maddening, but hey. So, anywho though, oh yeah, aside from the fact that I found it a little bit weird is that there's a film called Rally Road Racers that obviously about the fact that in the American version did receive the film a pretty good reviews as far as I'm aware, but it did already came out in America during the course of sometime in spring, in May 12th in this year, and during the forms of streaming during the forms of by the end of June. But as it turns out of nowhere, the UK version might decide to release the film quite later, likely for the fact that it might actually release at some point on the 15th of September this year. So I found it a little bit odd and strange at the same time when it comes to able to actually notice something like sometimes every once in a while UK releases always gets the film quite late. So either way though, that could be the reason for the fact that sometimes the box office opening weekends doesn't seem to go ridiculously high these days, which is kind of unfortunate. Oh yeah, speaking of which though, it's about the fact that recently in the UK, Elemental has recently came out today on the big screen in the UK cinemas. So I have no idea when I'm going to see that, but either way though, chances are though, it might look a bit interesting, but it's just that when it comes to plot details, we've seen that plot details so many times before in the past, like it involves around love interest, or usually relatively speaking of whose side was it though, and it's a bit tricky to explain. So either way though, so yeah, that pretty much takes care of the forms of the Mushroom Kingdom, so now we need to go on to the next location, which is Crow Sewers. So it seems like we're actually going into underground sewers for a change. Especially noticeable, we've been onto the actual outside portion for the beginning portion of the game so far. So relatively speaking, now we can able to go into the underground sewers now. So, and meaning about the fact that we can bump into more enemy encounters. So that'll be fun, right? Especially noticeable about the fact that I think there is actually equipment that will be pretty useful if you try to deal with certain enemies. So, for instance, about the fact that, well, I'll explain more details in a moment, because now we got ourselves the first star piece onto our file selection. So, well, relatively speaking on my current file, like, usually I'm still playing this on the Wii U Virtual Console re-release version, like, I was originally trying to able to play this on the Super Nintendo Classic Mini to make the quality much more superior, as well as the sound quality is super top-notch as well. But chances are though is about the fact that Sonic did somehow beat me to it when it comes to playing the Super Nintendo Mini version of it, so just to ensure about the fact that it's about time we can able to be excited for, you know, with the Switch remake. So, and I don't know about the forms of some additional content they'll bring in for the sake of the Switch remake, but I suppose we'll able to find out due time. So either way though, oh yeah, let's get into the forms of some new enemies we can able to encounter. Like for instance, we stumbled across into ourselves something like a Cheap Jeep enemies, but ultimately they do have their unique names. So for instance, we stumbled across into Gulbies. So as a result, about the fact that they're all just swimming at the moment because, you know, the waters usually rises or something like that. And basically those Gulbies, they do have about 40 HP, and then if you manage to kill them, you get about 3 experience points, and then if you kill them, you are able to receive 2 coins. So yeah, that's basically all there is to say. So even then though, again, I would have liked to be able to explain the most exciting aspect for this point today, but unfortunately I can't afford to able to mention about this right now, so oh well. Kinda sucks though, but hey, these things has to be done, so anyway though, there's another topic I want to point out, is about the fact that a lot of people seem to able to did done a lot of voting onto the community poll from the likes of the Mario Wikipedia so far, and as it turns out, one of those questions they mentioned is that obviously Nintendo recently announced the next 2D platformer, which is of course Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and they asked the question of what do you think about the game so far, and seems suffice to say, a lot of people seem to think they have a lot of majority of votes saying it looks great, and I am very excited about that, which as a result it has a grand total of so far 559 votes, which means myself included, because I am so excited for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, because you know, there's a brand new art style for a Mario game, and on top of that, it has some unique features on it, and I'm just so excited for that game next to, you know, the remake of Super Mario RPG. So, Anyway, so, oh geez, I actually did not notice that treasure chest comes alive. But ultimately speaking though, we actually stumbled across into this enemy called Pandoriate. I think that's what it says anyway. And he does have about whopping 300 HP. And if you do kill him, you get about 28 experience points. And if you kill him, when it comes to coins you get about roughly 30 coins. So, it's going to be one of those dangerous enemies you encounter, because I can assure you about the fact that if you get hit by one of his attacks, the damage output, it will be kind of high. So as a result about the fact that there might be a couple of times that we will come across into certain strange treasure enemies we might encounter, well, until eventually they'll get a bit aggressive and stronger at the same time. So we need to be very cautious with that particular enemy sometimes, well, unless if you really want to go for certain level ups. So yeah, that's all there was to really think about it. Okay, there's also another thing I should probably explain about this as well, is that, potentially speaking, that, well, when it comes to, like, other, like, answers as far as I'm aware, that, it seems we have a lesser amount of views where it's, like, not interested on all that stuff, which I suppose that's a good thing, because a lot of people are very excited for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, myself included, and I'm pretty surprised about the fact that I was a bit disappointed that Cap King 34 hasn't mentioned about that game either, so, but, I'm sure he will mention more about it whenever he does, like, a next new Let's Play at some point in the future, because I don't know, he might able to actually decide to take a break on RPGs for quite a long time, so, even though it's kind of hard to tell, honestly, because even then I haven't heard from him since when he finishes up everything in Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door with extra content and all that stuff though, but I'm sure we're able to actually hear more details about that at some point, so. Oh yeah, there's another film that's about to be releasing at some point, which is of course Gran Turismo, based off of a popular PlayStation series of games. As far as the release date, as far as I'm aware, it did say it's going to come out on the UK cinema, and it's going to be releasing on the 11th of August, so I'm not exactly sure what the actual age rating is going to be like, so it could be either be PG or 12, just like what they did for Uncharted, so. But either way though, it seems about the fact at the moment, like, when it comes to 3 films combined, which there are Elemental as well as Teenage Kraken, and even Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, seem to have some bit of rough around the edges when it comes to, like, opening weekend so far, which is a shame, because relatively speaking, it does have some potential, but at the same time though, they did somehow manage to realize about the fact that the actual opening weekend, money-wise, is actually rather low. So, even though it's a bit tricky to explain, I must admit though, right from the start, so. Also, if you're probably wondering, how come I come back into the forms of the Mushroom Kingdom shop to begin with in the first place? Well, that's just because I forgot able to buy one of those equipments I need to equip, such as for instance with the forms of this particular ring, or this particular thing right there as I purchased. Basically what this does is that this actually protects you from, you know, getting poisoned from certain enemies. Like for instance with the forms of one of those rat-like enemies as far as I'm aware. I suppose I'll mention more details about that once we get into the actual continuous amount of battles later on. So for now, let's just go ahead and take a nap for a bit after the events of that particular boss fight we've already fought against, which of course it has to be Mac. So, but either way though, let's just go and go back onto the forms of that particular Kurosuras. So either way though, that way we can able to continue where we left off. So, exponentially speaking, so. And yeah, remember I mentioned this before about the fact that this game has a lot of emphasis on isometric platforming here and there? Well, sometimes though you need to able to know about the forms of the depth of it. So, like for instance, I almost assumed that whenever when Sonic has first got here, back on the Wii Virtual Console re-release version back in the day, that he got confused about the fact of not knowing where he's supposed to go. So anyway, before I get into more details onto this though, here we have some more enemy encounters right here. So either way though, I apologize for that particular commentary, it's a bit slightly awkward at this point today, because obviously, at this point in time, the weather condition is now going to get a lot hotter again, so yeah, it'll continue to have fruition until, you know, every single days of summer, which should be expected at this point. So, anywho, yeah, here we have ourselves not only the Big Boo, but also with the forms of Shadow, and especially noticeable with the forms of Hobgoblin. So, in terms of the Big Boo, it does have 43 HP, and if you kill them, you get like 2 experience points. And if you kill them with coins, obviously you get no coins as a reward. And for Shadow, only has 85 HP, and it does have 3 experience points if you kill them, and it does have 2 coins once you kill them as well. And finally, for the forms of Hobgoblin, does have 50 HP, and if it does have 4 experience points if you kill them, and if you kill them, then obviously you get 3 coins as well. But there's also another enemy that we've forgot to mention about, and that's what appears to be Rat Funk. And I believe Rat Funk does have about 32 HP, and it does have 2 experience points if you kill them, and I believe it gives you about 6 coins if you killed them too. So yeah, that's essentially quite a nice little reward as far as that particular small enemy, as far as we did manage to take him out on for about a couple of seconds ago or something. So, but either way though, that's saying something, so... But yeah, every once in a while until you're able to proceeding for this game is about the fact that there might be a couple of times that we will come across into certain mini activities, like mini games for instance, but then again, we'll explain more details on this particular topic and join at some point on next Monday, so but either way though, yeah, in terms of everything else I could possibly discuss upon for this point, oh yeah, and another thing too, we've only got about 2 more weeks left until Pikmin 4 is going to be releasing, so that might actually give some high expectations, all things considered. Especially I'm still very surprised that, well, alongside with the forms of the Xenoblade Chronicles games, except with, X, obviously, because, you know, Xenoblade Chronicles X is still stuck on the Wii U for quite a long time, and on top of all that stuff though, between both Xenoblade Chronicles Trilogy, along with the Pikmin chronological games, or something like that, well, they all belong on the Nintendo Switch right now. I suppose the only thing is left now is, of course, let's just say Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 3, for that matter, to able to get the entire Metroid Prime games on the Nintendo Switch. And exponentially speaking though about the fact that maybe if this is a possibility that maybe during at some point in this month, maybe they'll add it in Metroid Zero Mission onto the NSO expansion pack or something. Well, it's kind of hard to tell honestly, because apart from the fact that we're still in the beginning portion of July still, and I apologize for that particular point where the commentary gets a bit slightly awkward at points, not only because of the forms of the entire process of this particular video is about to be able to get processed, but also about the fact that there's not much else I can talk about, aside from the fact that I've already mentioned about the actual enemy's description for it, so even then though, everything else will be pretty much accounted for, so either way. And for those of you probably wondering about the fact that I'm actually going to be go ahead and, well, as you can tell about the fact that I'm actually going to decide able to actually just, well, hit into the different pipe right there, so just in case I can able to actually traverse for a different route. So, sometimes though with the forms of Kuro sewers, sometimes it can be more accurately like a maze-like, but when you get the hang of it though, it won't be too bad, at least if you know the layout. So I'm pretty sure about the fact that I'm not exactly sure in the Switch remake might actually contain a proper map. Oh sweet, we got ourselves a Starman, so we can exponentially try to wipe out as many of those Rat Funks as much as we can. Although except for every single one of them, because, well, since my star power just runs out, this means I have to be forced in a battle, so I might be alright with that. Especially noticeable because concerning with that, well, exponentially speaking now about the fact that there's also another reason why this video took so long is because, well, the stupid lag returns onto my laptop still. And how do I miss that? Okay. Oh yeah, there are a couple of times though where basically the Rat Funks decides able to run away in battle. So yeah, sometimes it doesn't seem to help me that much, especially noticeable because I was expecting to get some more, you know, experience points, but I suppose it really doesn't matter to me too much, so... Anyway though, oh jeez, we get into another battle. Tell you what though, I don't think we got enough time to able to actually just to finish up the rest of the forms of Kuro sewers, for that matter, just because about the fact that, as you can tell, that I did somehow manage to backtrack for one specific segment, so, but either way though, just to get that particular one of those equipment item which allows me to able to protective by poison, because as far as I'm aware, one of the Rat Funk's special attacks, which appears to be something involves around poison, and if he does manage to able to directly aim at someone who is actually equipped to the forms of poison proof, then obviously you don't have to worry about getting yourself poisoned. So anyway though, so I think we might as well do one more battle and then we'll pretty much get able to call it a day, because either way, again, I would like to able to explain the exciting portion for the sake of the forms of something Mario Kart related during the forms of today, but sadly to tell you, it doesn't seem to be happening today, which is kind of unfortunate. So oh well, no big deal. So let's go ahead and finish them off. And exponentially, I think we should probably end things up at this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars. And that is about the fact that we'll go ahead and continue exploring through the forms of K-Rose sewers. And exponentially, we'll battle some more enemies. And exponentially, we'll fight the next boss and explore the new environment or something. I suppose we'll find out. So I'll see you guys until on Monday. Later, fellas.